The secret is starting from the end. So why do entrepreneurs procrastinate until the last minute? Why do we thrive in urgency but struggle with slow-burning tasks? Well, the issue is starting. Dr. William Dodson joined me again this week and told me that urgency is not the issue, it's procrastination. We have to overcome the ADHD inertia, and that's the key part of it all. So that's why just doing it never works. And this was a great conversation and a great insight for me. And I'm really glad that he came back to discuss this with me, because this really changed a few different things about me. So, in quick review, the ADHD nervous system and urgency. Okay, so the ADHD brain has an interest-based nervous system, and the world has an importance-based nervous system. And for ADHD entrepreneurs, urgency seems to become the default mechanism, and it's our last resort. So in a way, like he said, Dr. Dodson said, that urgency is sort of the flip side of procrastination. It becomes urgent because it has to be done right now because of procrastination. So the urgency set is actually not the issue, it's the procrastination. So I am postponing interesting but not pressing tasks right now until they become urgent. And that's that's actually procrastination. And I would think a little bit of my time blindness, but in the end, it's the procrastination is the issue, not the default mechanism of urgency. So the interest-based nervous system, things have to be novel, interesting, competitive or challenging, urgent or passion-related, versus the traditional motivators of importance and rewards. Our brain does not work that way. We don't know what to do to start. So for us, it's not what we don't know what to do, but doing what we know, and that's the starting part. And that's where he was talking about and coming into play for that is the starting, okay? And he said that a lot of it has to do with the ADHD brain's emotional intensity in response to our emotional intensity. Like I always said, the ADHD brain feels emotions intensely, raw, and immediately, okay? And since that failure and rejection is not a real good emotion or feeling to have, our ADHD emotional sensitivity makes failure and rejection a lot more painful since we feel it a lot intensely. So now there's a cause to procrastinate because the fear of falling short again is powerful and very debilitating. So therefore we procrastinate. Therefore, that's why we create unrealistic expectations to compensate for the past negative experiences or to compensate for whatever our brains created a protective mechanism for us. It's because of this emotional intensity. And I never really put those two together till that conversation. And I really love the fact that he brought that in there. So that's part of the procrastination. What fear the negative experience that we've had in the past that we're dealing right now, because our brain doesn't know that we're safe anymore or now safe. So the one thing that really hit me is how to overcome this procrastination, or what he called the ADHD inertia. We see a big mountain peak, and there's many reasons for it, but the best way to do it is to work backwards to the start. He said the ADHD brain and mind works best by starting from the end and reverse engineering back. And when he said that, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that, because even if I go to a unique construction site problem, I don't come up with the solutions. I've always asked them, the contractor, the trades, the other engineers, how do you normally do it? Okay, and I start there. So this is how they normally do it. This is what we want in the end. How do they normally work? And I come back and we create a solution at the end. And I never realized that was me kind of overcoming my own undiagnosed ADHD, is by working things backwards. I'm always great with something that started, like what does it look in the end, or something physical to fix, because I know how it is in the end. And I like that, working backwards to solve the problem rather than trying to come at from the other end. And I love that. And then just not only start from the end, but what's the outcome that we want? Okay, so starting with the outcome in mind helps us break the paralysis of too many choices. And I think that's the real issue here, is that we have too many options, too many choices if we start at the beginning. There's 400 ways I can solve this engineering problem. But if I bring in and say, hey, how do you want to look at the end? Then all these options are off the table. How do you normally work? So we can get that solution on executed quickly, and then we work it backwards, and our options are reduced, because that having too many options actually overwhelms our ADHD brain. And I think that's truly the issue of our procrastination. Too many options. We have to filter through too many options. And when this happens, when there are too many options, and I've read this many, many places, we have to reduce the options for the ADHD brain, because overthinking happens. And I'll tell you, man, it happens all the time. So we overthink when there are all these starting points that we can start from, because guess what? To us, they're all equally valid. So we got to work that out. So why is that important? Because Dr. Dodson actually said, since our brain doesn't work with an importance filter, because we are an interest-based nervous system, all these options appear shades of gray, and that definitely leads us to analysis paralysis, because there's too much and that overwhelms us. So the typical person with the importance-based mind are able to filter out what's important, what's not, and start weeding through the options, and we just wallow in there and we overthink. So what we have to do is narrow down our options now, and the only way we can do this, and I love how he puts it, is by us having a clear vision of the end result, of the end outcome. What's the result we want? And if you're hearing what I'm saying, yes, I think the ADHD brain is results-based. We're not production-based like everyone else, right? The hunter, the result, the kill, feeding the family. The farmer, they follow the production, the process of the system, and they keep going. So we can really narrow down our options today by having a clear vision of the end result and the outcome that we're wanting, but we got to write it down, and it's got to be on paper so we can see it. Now, at the same time, though, since everything is really cool and all our ideas are awesome, it's very interesting at the time, we need to have an honest self-assessment, okay? We need to be truthful about whether we want that outcome, not just the process of it, okay? So we need to ask the right questions. Do I really want this outcome? Is it worth years of my effort? This helps filtering out these distractions. Again, what's the end result? Is this something that we want to do? Is this the outcome that we want? If we look at the end and say, this is what it's going to look like, maybe that's not what I want. I don't want that. Either I change it, throw away these different options, or maybe toss all options off the table and then see, maybe I won't execute on this. So what can we do? So Dr. Dodson had a lot of great ideas and recommendations to help overcome this. And what he said, the implementer partner model. Okay, so ADHD brains, we're great problem solvers, nonlinear thinkers, and we can come up with great solutions. Yet we struggle with the follow through and executing and maintaining that momentum, especially when the challenge or novelty fades or the interest fades. All right, I'm going to be honest, I'm guilty of that. A lot of times I lose interest and I struggle with follow through. That's why long construction projects I don't really enjoy, and I always avoid it because it takes too long, because subconsciously I knew I'd lose interest and it'd be more work than what it's worth. So that outcome I don't want, I'm now taking that off the table as one of my services. For us to have a proper follow through, we need non-ADHD implementers, finishers, or the make it real people, okay? Now, having this model means we're the problem solvers, we're the innovators, but then we have these implementers that execute and follow through on these plans for us, for the team to execute on the project, okay? So this leverages our ADHD strengths, quick problem solvers, excited, let's get the impossible done, let's get going, and as our interest starts to fade, then we have the team that will maintain it. Okay, so that addresses our limitations while maintaining our ADHD strengths. We get happy customers, and you know what? There's people out there that want to do that finishing part. Like I always said, I love the getting, I really hated the doing. And then the other challenge too with ADHD entrepreneurs is once the problem is solved, we're on to the next. I'm guilty. I'm sure you're guilty of it. And the thing is, I even hate to use the words. It's like we shouldn't feel guilty doing that. It's just our ability. That's our unique ability. We should stay there and let someone else finish it for us. And I think that's going to go very well for lots of people if you have that partnership. So creating an ADHD-friendly environment is also crucial. So we can create our own. I create my own company so I can feel accepted and be part of it. And remember, the world is performance-based. The ADHD brain thrives in results-based environments, and that's what I created. And I think you need to change that thinking so that your projects and your success of your team are also results-based, not only productivity or production. So we're very innovative. Results-based environment is better for us, and we thrive on that. Now, there's lots here said again. Listen again to Dr. Dodson's episode because there's lots there, but I'm going to give you the 3 takeaways I took out of it. Okay, 1, urgency is the default due to procrastination. Okay, procrastination is caused by fear, overwhelming options, and not knowing where to start. And the big one for me was start from the end, reverse engineer it back to the start. What does it look like? Engineer it backwards so we can take all of this immense options off the table so we can concentrate on a smaller set of options so we have less analysis by paralysis or paralysis by analysis, something like that. Anyways, let me know what you think of this episode and this thinking today. Send me an email at André@theimpulsivethinker.com. I'd love to hear your points and observations on this. And again, thanks for listening and learning with me. Well, take care.